Okay, we're going to talk about the R.V. Powley case. So in this case, the respondents, who were Metis, shot and killed a bull moose for food in Ontario. They were charged with various offenses under the Game and Fish Act. So these Metis people admitted to not having hunting licenses, but argued they had an Aboriginal right to hunt for food in the area, and that can't be infringed by the Ontario government without proper justification. So, trial judge acquits them, and the Crown comes back and appeals. The acquittal is upheld by the Superior Court of Justice, and then the Crown appeals again, and it's still upheld by the Court of Appeal, and the Crown appeals again, and now, here in this case, it's being reviewed by the Supreme Court. The issue before the Supreme Court today, or in this case at least, is to whether the subsection 46 and 47(1) of the Act, which prohibits hunting moose without a license, unconstitutionally infringed the respondent's Aboriginal right to hunt for food, as recognized in Section 35(1) of the Constitution Act of 1982. So there's a couple rules here that are derived from this case, just for purpose of future analysis. And the first rule being a Metis community can be defined as a group of Metis with a distinctive collective identity, living together in the same geographic area and sharing a common way of life. That comes from this Powley case. The basics elements of the Peet test should be applied to Metis claims, with modifications of certain elements of the pre-contact test to reflect the distinctive history and post-contact ethnogenesis of the Metis and the resulting differences between Indian and Métis claims. Okay. Courts faced with Metis claims will have to ascertain Metis identity on a case-by-case basis. This inquiry must take into account both the value of community self-definition and the need for the process of identification to be objectively verifiable. And so the court gives us this test to use in the future, the Powley Test. And it consists of 3 parts. 1, first, the claimant must self-identify as a member of a Metis community. It should not be a recent claim, and claims that are just made to benefit from the Section 35 right will not satisfy this requirement. Second, the claimant must present evidence of an ancestral connection, whether it be by birth or adoption or other means. Third, the claimant must demonstrate that he is accepted by the modern community, whose continuity with the historic community provides the legal foundation for the claimed right. The core of community acceptance is past and ongoing participation in a shared culture. So analysis by the Supreme Court in this case, and they are taking a look first at the Peet test, and they're saying the first step is to characterize the claimed right. Here, the right claim can be characterized as the right to hunt for food in the designated territory. The pre-contact test in Peet is based on the constitutional affirmation that Aboriginal communities are entitled to continue those practices, customs, and traditions that are integral to their distinctive existence or relationship to the land. So the test for the Métis practices should focus on the same thing: practices, customs, and traditions that are integral to the Métis community's distinctive existence and relationship to the land. The evidence indicates that subsistence hunting, food hunting, was an important aspect of Métis life and a defining feature of their special relationship to the land, and was therefore integral to their distinct way of life in the area in this period prior to 1850. So the court says the evidence established continuity between the historic practice and the contemporary right asserted by the respondents. So the practice of hunting for food has been continuous from just prior to 1850 to the present. And there's no evidence of extinguishment of the right to hunt for food. The Métis people were explicitly excluded from the Robinson-Huron Treaty of 1850, which the court in this case was trying to say that that is the reason why their rights have been extinguished. So Ontario does not recognize any Métis right to hunt for food or any special access rights to natural resources for the Métis. This lack of recognition and the consequent application of the challenge provisions to the respondents infringe their Aboriginal right to hunt for food. So the Crown, who was appealing, relied on conservation as its main justification. Conservation of moose in Canada. However, the record does not support this justification if the moose population in the area were under threat, and there was no evidence that it is, the Métis people would still be entitled to a priority allocation to satisfy their food needs in accordance with the criteria set out in the Sparrow case. So the difficulty of identifying members of Métis communities must not be exaggerated as a basis for defeating their constitutionally protected rights. So once again and finally, this appeal is dismissed, and these rights are now protected by the Supreme Court. Thank you for watching my video. Please do me a big favor and hit that like button and subscribe to get more videos on law school and NCAA exam prep.